Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a massive deep dive into two very different worlds that are colliding at warp speed right now. We're looking at the psychological playbook of modern fraudsters and the ultimate defense manual you need to protect your hard-earned assets. We're going to break down exactly how scams are evolving, these psychological triggers these criminals pull to separate you from your money, and most importantly, the actionable steps you can take to build an absolute fortress around your finances.
Now, to really get why this matters right now, we have to look at the sheer scale of the battlefield. Take a look at this staggering figure, $20.877 billion. Yeah, you heard that right. According to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, or IC3, this is the total reported loss to internet crimes in a single recent year. And what's really wild? That represents a massive 26% increase from the year prior. This isn't just a slight uptick, guys. It's an absolute explosion.
And behind that $20 billion is a massive human impact. With over 1 million complaints filed and an average loss of over $20,000 per victim, the reality is incredibly clear. Literally anyone, regardless of age, education, or background, can become a target. This isn't just happening to other people. It's happening to our neighbors, our family members, and even savvy professionals. Okay, let's dive into this. We've got a lot of ground to cover. But here is our roadmap for today. First, a multi-billion-dollar crisis. Second, spotting the warning signs. Third, the high-pressure trap. Fourth, an immediate 6-step recovery plan. And finally, we'll talk about secondary scams. All right, kicking things off with part one, a multi-billion-dollar crisis. The methods driving this crisis are just incredibly sophisticated now. We're not just talking about poorly worded emails from a foreign prince anymore. No way. We're seeing AI-generated deepfake voice clones that can perfectly mimic a family member in distress or a CEO ordering a wire transfer. We're seeing devastating pig-butchering crypto scams. That's where scammers spend months just fattening up their victims with fake romantic or platonic attention before completely slaughtering them financially. And of course, the classic Ponzi scheme, robbing Peter to pay Paul, is still alive and well in the age of cryptocurrency. To put this into even more perspective, the Federal Trade Commission reported $12.5 billion in fraud losses in 2024 alone. So whether you look at the FBI's data or the FTC's data, the trend line is pointing aggressively upward. Fraudsters are absolutely diversifying and attacking across all fronts. Moving right along to part two, spotting the warning signs. So the absolute best way to avoid becoming a statistic is to recognize the red flags before you hand over a single cent. Because once the money is gone, especially if it's cryptocurrency or a wire transfer, getting it back is incredibly difficult. So what should you actually look for? Well, the SEC's investor.gov provides a fantastic checklist. First up, unlicensed professionals. Federal and state laws require investment pros to be licensed. If they aren't, just walk away. Second, risk-free opportunities with guaranteed high returns. Listen, every single investment carries risk. If someone guarantees you'll make money, it is a lie. Also, keep an eye out for overly consistent returns. Real markets go up and down. And finally, if anyone ever asks you to pay for an investment using a wire transfer to a personal account, or worse, a gift card, you're dealing with a scammer, full stop. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast between a real investment and a scammer's illusion. A legitimate investment is transparent, right? It involves market fluctuations, registered professionals, and clear paperwork. But a scam pitch, whether it's a crypto Ponzi scheme or a fake trading platform, relies on secretive strategies, unlicensed sellers, and the total illusion of high returns with zero risk. They're basically just preying on our natural human desire for a safe, easy win. Which brings us to part three, the high-pressure trap. Now, you might be wondering, how do really smart people fall for this? Honestly, it all comes down to emotional manipulation. Scammers are master psychologists. They know for a fact that if you have time to sit back and think logically, you're going to spot the holes in their story. So they deploy a high-pressure trap. Imagine getting a call and hearing, everyone is buying it. You need to invest right now or you're going to miss out forever. That sense of urgency is totally weaponized against you. It's an aggressive, high-pressure sales tactic designed entirely to induce FOMO, fear of missing out, and force a rushed, completely irrational decision. Criminologists actually note that if an advisor is overly pushy or aggressive, that is a massive red flag. And this urgency builds into an even darker tactic: isolation. Scammers deliberately isolate their victims. They'll tell you to keep the investment a secret to protect your gains.
Or, in the case of elder financial exploitation or romance scams, they'll act as a literal wedge between the victim and their family. By cutting off access to trusted financial advisors or loved ones, the fraudster demands total control over the narrative, making sure nobody can talk sense into the victim before the trap snaps shut. Okay, let's take a breath because here is part 4, your immediate 6-step recovery plan. So the crucial point is, if the worst actually happens, panic is the natural reaction. Of course it is, but we need to replace that panic with a process. Acting with absolute speed is crucial here. Based on guidelines from Bajaj FinServ and cyber experts, here is your 6-step manual. Step 1. Stop all transactions immediately. Freeze your cards and rescind auto debits to stop the bleeding. Step 2. Obtain critical info. Document literally everything: transaction hashes, emails, phone numbers, screenshots of chats. Step 3. Keep your identity safe by changing passwords and enabling 2-factor authentication. Step 4. Notify the authorities quickly. Step 5. Examine your insurance to see if identity theft or fraud is covered. And Step 6. Alter your habits. Learn from the vulnerability to make sure it doesn't happen again. In regarding Step 4, knowing exactly who to call is half the battle. Use this table as your emergency contact list. Call your bank or credit card company immediately, because if you catch it early enough, they might actually be able to reverse an unauthorized payment or freeze funds in transit. Contact local police to get a crime report number, which banks often require. For cyber scams and fake crypto platforms, file a detailed report at the FBI's IC3 website. And for consumer fraud and impersonators, hit up the FTC. Swift reporting is genuinely your only shot at freezing stolen funds before they vanish overseas. Finally, Part 5. Beware of secondary scans. There is one final, incredibly malicious twist in the scammer's playbook. Just when a victim thinks the nightmare is finally over, they become a target all over again. Ask yourself, what happens after you lose your money? Well, you're vulnerable, right? You're desperate to get it back. You might be searching online for things like how to recover stolen crypto or fraud recovery experts. And the scammers, they know this. They're literally waiting for you. Now, what's really interesting and honestly totally cruel about this slide is what's known as the recovery scam. Fraudsters will actually contact recent victims pretending to be the very authorities the victims are desperately trying to reach. They'll pose as a specialized police unit, a government official, or a supposed white hat hacker who can magically retrieve your lost funds. But there's always a catch. They need an upfront fee, taxes paid in advance, or remote access to your computer to do it. It's a double tap. The people offering to save you are very often the exact same network that robbed you in the first place. So the golden rule here is absolute zero trust for unsolicited communications. True authorities, the real FBI, the real FTC, your actual bank, they are never going to call you out of the blue and ask you to move money into a safe account. They will never, ever demand an upfront fee in gift cards or Bitcoin to process a fraud recovery. If someone reaches out to you, hang up the phone. Look up the organization's official, verified phone number on their actual website and call them yourself. You have to control the communication. Well, we've covered a ton of ground today, from the billion-dollar scale of this crisis to the specific red flags of high-pressure sales, and the vital, immediate steps for recovery. Fraudsters are relying on your silence, your embarrassment, and your lack of a plan. But by understanding their playbook, you've just taken their power away. So I'll leave you with this question. Are you equipped to spot the red flags and defend your financial future? Keep that healthy dose of skepticism close. Share this knowledge with the people you care about and stay safe out there.